Welcome in. It's Tuesday afternoon here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Ball and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, and joined as always by Mo Patton here. And it's a heck of a day, a heck of a show we have lined up for you. Looking very much forward to it as it's Tuesday, which means Chip Walters is on the show. He'll be with us at 3 o'clock. Got a lot of stuff going on in the world of Middle Tennessee State right now. Like, normally, you know, you're trying to figure out what you're going to talk about during the summer with Chip or whatever, and no, today, not the case. Plenty of news to get to in Middle Tennessee State. And WILLY DAUNIC will join us to talk a little bit about the Nashville Predators and their new head coach, Andrew. Is it Brunetti or just Brunette?
Brunette.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because, you know, in hockey, regular names aren't always pronounced regularly. So I make sure to ask anytime I get a chance. So Willie will talk to us as well. But before we do anything else, Mo, what's going on? How are you?
No, life is good. Life is good.
That's always positive. Yeah. Got a little baseball in last night and
covered some last night, umpiring some tonight. So,
ooh, yeah. Umpiring is always fun.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, it's fun when you get the check, I guess.
That is fun.
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot to get to today. We'll talk a little bit about the Braves. We've got a couple of big top stories that we'll want to get into, and it's Top 5 Tuesday. And since recent news of Shannon Sharp's departure from Undisputed with Skip Bayless, we'll talk about.
Maybe that should be disputed instead of undisputed.
Clearly it's disputed now, yeah. We'll talk about our favorite sports TV talk show hosts. So
it's going to be a short conversation.
Of all time, though. So, I mean, you know, you might grab some from the early years, and we'll see what happens. So should be fun, should be interesting, and we'll get to it. But before we do anything else, we'll get you yesterday's results and today's schedule. We'll do that on The Rundown.
Here's The Rundown.
In summer baseball action last night, the post-19 seniors defeated the post-19 junior Cyclones, since there are two post-19 junior teams, 18-4. Major League Baseball action from Monday night. Houston defeated Toronto 11-4. It was the Reds with a 2-0 victory over the Brewers. Boo. The Rangers 4, the Cardinals 3, and the Padres blanked Chicago, the Cubs, 5-0. Women's College World Series action. Oklahoma advanced to the championship series with a 4-2, 8-inning? 9-inning victory over Stanford. Actually, we had that before we got off the air yesterday. Last night, Florida State ended Tennessee's season with a 5-1 victory.
That Chicago in. Remember how they used to have to do that?
Exactly.
NCAA baseball action yesterday's regional finals. Florida 6, Texas Tech nothing. LSU 13-7 winners over Oregon State with Southern Miss 11-7 over Penn. TCU downs Arkansas 12-4, and Duke sends Coastal Carolina home with a 12-3 win. Kentucky doubles up Indiana 4-2, and Stanford with a 7-1 win over Texas A&M. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, Vegas dominates with a 7-2 win over Florida. They now lead the series 2-0.
Stanley Cup final.
That's right. It's just one.
It's one final, which I guess really kind of makes sense.
It
when
does,
you think
as a
about
matter
it.
of fact.
Yeah. Major League Baseball scheduled for tonight at 6:07. The first pitch will be thrown in Houston at Toronto. 13 minutes later, the Mets and the Braves will get started, followed by the Orioles at Milwaukee in a 6:40 start. St. Louis continues at Texas. That's at 7:05. The Cubs are at the Angels at 8:10, and the Mariners are at the Padres at 8:40. At 6:05, the Sounds open their 7-game series at Jacksonville because they've got a makeup. I think they play 2 tomorrow, and those are day games, right?
Yes, one of them is.
Yeah. I think it's just a doubleheader, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's about 11-ish on tomorrow's start. So, but anyway.
I don't know exactly,
That's okay.
to be honest. WNBA action tonight. The Las Vegas Aces are at the Connecticut Sun. That's a 6 o'clock tip. If you can find it on television, good luck. But the Indiana Fever will be at the Chicago Sky at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And I guess these three teams just play each other. The Mercury, the Sparks, and the Storm. They just play each other all year round.
Well, they're all out there.
They're all by themselves. And so the Sparks will be at Seattle tonight with a 9 p.m. tip, also on CBS Sports Network. And that is your rundown.
They're all out there on the West Coast trying to avoid the Aces. So, and I can understand that.
So, speaking of, that's really loud. Do you hear that really loud? Okay, just making sure.
I hope our listeners don't hear it.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I
yeah,
don't.
I do.
Anyway, speaking of dominating in Vegas last night, the Golden Knights certainly did just that over Florida, but got to give it up to reporter Samantha Rivera from CBS Channel 4, CBS News in Miami. Have you seen this video?
I've not seen it. I've seen tweets about it. I've seen reactions to it. I've not actually watched the video.
At J Samantha Rivera, if you want to pull that up, Justin. She absolutely dominates this fan trying to get into her shot.
Pull Derrick Henry on him, huh?
Just straight stiff arm. Look, I mean, an absolutely just phenomenal job
Good for
to
her.
not only dominate the fan, but never stop talking. Just kept going. I mean, it was legitimately one of the most
Poised and professional, huh?
one of the coolest things I've ever seen by
like
an on-camera reporter. And so props to you, Samantha, for not only doing your job, but also
What was that again, Jay? What?
J. Samantha Rivera. She said, look, I don't give a damn what team you're rooting for. Get the heck out of my face when I'm working, and respect that I'm here to do my job.
Boom.
Excited to get back home and to some classy #Panthers fans for Game 3. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, still a very loud crowd here at T-Mobile Arena. Obviously, Vegas fans enjoying the less than ideal night for the Panthers. Falling to the Knights. No, don't want to be. All right, let's get into the highlights here.
Wow. I mean, just get off me.
And it's, it's just crazy unfortunate that she had to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's zero reason for anyone to have to deal with that. But I want to give her a shout out for dealing with it very well.
And very physically.
Had no issues.
Jay Samantha Rivera has been in the gym.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Good
for her.
She's been doing it.
You never know.
Oh, let's get to our top story today. Tennessee learned its fate this morning, Mo, that they will be headed to Hattiesburg, home of Ferris Brothers Fishing Tackle, and one hotel. Apparently, they got two hotels now. Okay, that's great.
One of which apparently saw their rates go from $135 to $499
pretty quickly. Well, Tennessee only got 600 of the about 5,500 tickets that were going to be available. So, I guess those hotels are expecting all 600 to come separately. I don't know. But
I don't know what they're expecting. Maybe the Southern Miss fan base expands into an area that requires overnight stays or something. I mean,
maybe a little bit. But are you surprised Tennessee is having to travel?
It's Tennessee. So, no, not really. I mean, I think that was why you really needed to be for Penn if you were a UT fan, just to feel more comfortable in getting that super regional at home. I mean, they were a number 2. Southern Miss was a number 2 at Arkansas, and so it kind of left it up for debate. I'm sorry, at Auburn, they were a number 2. TCU was a number 2 at Arkansas.
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, but I mean, it just really kind of feeds into the paranoia of the UT fan base. It seems like, from what I gather, I've not really checked out the metrics myself, but it seems like in every metric that the committee is supposed to be considering and valuing for seeding, UT was ahead of Southern Miss. So why that wouldn't come through at this point.
But the one metric that they do use, Southern Miss
was ahead of UT.
Is ahead by about 900 seats. That's, as well as I do, that's probably number 1 on the weighted list. Well, they're not going to tell you that.
Well, why not?
But exactly, why not? Great question. I mean, just tell us. Look, we're trying to make as much money as we can because look,
I mean, it would make a lot more sense.
Sure, we understand
if you are telling me
that Southern Miss earned it on the field,
what's wrong with telling the truth?
Nothing.
Because otherwise, you're trying to get people you're insulting people's intelligence otherwise.
That's exactly what they've been doing for a long time at the NCAA.
You're insulting people's intelligence. Just tell me it's about seats. It's about money. Then I can say, okay, and go on. As opposed to trying to make sense of whatever smokescreen it is that you're putting up.
100%.
Just tell me. We're going to the biggest facility. We're going where we can make the most money, and that's it.
Were there any other super regional sites that were up for debate this morning?
I don't know that they were up for debate necessarily. We found out last night that Indiana State will not be hosting against TCU because they had a pre-existing issue. They are hosting a statewide Special Olympics event this weekend that takes up a lot of space, staffing, what have you. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure Indiana State knew even as they put in a bid for the regional that they wouldn't be able to host a super regional if it got to that point. But that's tough. When you have won a regional and you are in position to host a super regional and can't, and you've got to go on the road instead against clearly a pretty good TCU team. I'm sorry, Texas Christian. They lost TCU status back over the holidays.
So Oral Roberts was the 3 at Oklahoma State, beating Dallas Baptist.
DBU was the 2. Well, obviously,
so.
because Oklahoma State was the 1. Yeah.
Right. So, so Oregon being the 2 at Vanderbilt.
Then Oral Roberts is going out west.
No, I'm sorry. Oral Roberts is a 4. They were a 4.
Ooh. Oklahoma State, Dallas Baptist, who was the 3 there?
I'm not entirely sure. I just happened to be reading something that said that they were the 4 seed. So the lone 4 seed to make it out of the regionals, which, I mean,
Penn threw a scare down at Auburn.
I don't know who the other team was in that regional, but I mean,
Stillwater.
Certainly I would have expected Dallas Baptist or Oklahoma State to come out of it.
Oklahoma State was the 1. Washington was the 2.
Oh,
Dallas
wow.
Baptist was the 3.
So the 3 and 4 played for that's interesting. That being said, 6 SEC teams emerge. That is a record. Ties a record, but it is a record. As many as 4 could make it to Omaha.
And at
As
least
few as
2
2 will make it. Because 2 of them, two super regionals have 2 SEC teams in them. Florida takes on South Carolina, and LSU hosts Kentucky.
All right.
The other 2, Alabama goes to Wake Forest, and of course Tennessee and Southern Miss. I'm really curious about Wake Forest, Alabama. Alabama has been on a tear since the situation.
Yeah. I mean, they are playing well. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now. Getting some really good pitching, it sounds like.
So don't count out the Crimson Tide. I think that's going to be a really interesting regional.
And I don't know that Wake was really pushed in their region.
They weren't. They went 3-0. Of course, that's what you expect from the 1 overall.
All right.
But I also don't know that, the 1 overall, we know what the 1 overall means. It means good luck.
Since 1999.
And
that's exactly what it's meant.
And so, there's that. You're playing with that hanging over your head. Mm-hmm. And again, Alabama's a pretty good team. I think they obviously season long, they're probably seeded, maybe even overseeded. But based on recent, they might have been underseeded. If Auburn was the 13, you're telling me Alabama's the 16. I don't know. There could be some issue there. So I don't know. I really feel like that's going to be one of the more intriguing regionals. I think Stanford, Texas is fantastic. Texas.
That's kind of old schoolish.
It's kind of old schoolish. So you're going to want to watch that one. Florida, South Carolina too. Of course, South Carolina's been, obviously they started out the year great. We're playing terrible when Tennessee went over there and beat their eyeballs in. And it came back, and over the last couple of weeks, they've been playing a little bit better.
They've been more like what you expect out of South Carolina of late.
And clearly TCU showed its prowess, taking the regional over the number 3 seeded team in Arkansas. They've got Indiana State. So this is going to be a fun super regional.
I think that Virginia Duke super is going to be interesting as well. Virginia won a national championship back in 2015. Duke kind of feels like it is, arguably the class of the ACC here of late. So you got some, Wake be damned.
Yeah. 3 teams from the ACC getting in seems a little unusual. But all right, we still don't have Willie just yet. So what we'll do is talk briefly PGA, Live, DP World.
Now, I'm not familiar with that third entity.
It's Europe. It's the European Tour.
Oh, so we're just one great big happy
One
golf
great
family
big world
now.
golf family.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we might as well just call it the WGA
Why not?
or the New World Order. It's just too sweet. I mean,
Might as well.
this is just wear NWO shirts and
It's just crazy for everything that was said a few months ago by the PGA in reaction to
Everything.
Everything.
from the golfers to the announcers
to the administrators. I mean, everybody.
Everybody.
And now, kumbaya.
And here's my thing: is the PGA had all the leverage. Liv was getting literally 0 people watching this thing. They were all now. I will say this: they were going. They were getting big crowds because they were basically having music festivals. But they weren't all there to watch golf. But I guess it don't matter if they pay for a ticket, does it?
Yeah, you don't care why they came as long as they came. But it kind of goes back to our conversation about the super regionals. I mean, follow the money, right?
Follow the money.
So
We'll get more into that hopefully later this week. I don't know enough about it, Mo, to really talk about it. I just know that
I don't either.
I know what's happening.
I
and
just
that's about
know.
it.
I just know that the optics
Can't be good. They're not.
It's not a good look.
Not for PGA or really Live. I mean, the Live golfers were,
Yeah, they had some stuff to say as they were going out the door. A lot of them did.
Lefty particularly.
So
I don't know. I will be interested to see how this all works. That's all I'm going to say. So we'll take a break. Willie DAUNIC is standing by. We'll talk a little bit about the Nashville Predators and their brand new head coach in just a moment in the Lee Company studio. This is Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stay with us. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. It's Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are back in the Lee Company studio, and glad to have you guys with us here on this Top 5 Tuesday. Don't forget, Chip Walters still to come, 3 p.m., talking MTSU. Plenty to get to in that segment. We've got Braves coming up as well in just a moment. But first, we go downtown Nashville, where we talk a little bit about the Nashville Predators and their brand new head coach. And to do that, we bring in the Bally voice of the Predators. That's Willie DAUNIC. Willie, what's up, man?
Guys, good to talk to you. Let's go Mets. We've got a big series of the Braves coming up.
You can go all right, all the way home.
Did not consider that when we asked Willie to come on today.
That's all right.
That's not what we're talking about?
No, it's not. It's not, Willie. It's not.
The 6.5 game back Mets.
It hasn't gone real well for the Mets in that series here very often recently, so I hesitate to talk trash.
Yeah.
Trust me, we're not going to bring you back next week, later this week, to do so either. But Willie, in retrospect, I mean, was this hire something that we should have seen coming, given Andrew Brunette's, one, ties to this franchise, and two, the success that he's had in other places as a coach?
Well, I let me first say that I would have been fine if they brought back John Hines. I thought he did a very good job down the stretch, and Barry Trotz said that. I think the key with Andrew Brunette is they didn't know 100% if or when he would become available. He was with New Jersey. They had an outstanding year. They have a veteran coach in Lindy Ruff, who's getting up there in age, and he may well win the Coach of the Year award, the Jack Adams Trophy. But it wasn't a certainty he would come back, and a lot of people thought, because Tom Fitzgerald, another former Pred, the original captain of the Predators, he's the GM, that he would hire Andrew Brunette at some point to be the next head coach of the Devils. So that wasn't clear whether he would be available or not, and that was Barry Trotz, what he said, is I had to wait and see who became available when teams stopped playing. And when Brunette became available, his history with Barry Trotz certainly played a big part in the connection there.
So it was kind of a get him before you can't type of thing?
Yeah, they felt like Andrew Brunette would get another job as a head coach.
Sure.
With somebody had the Predators not taken their shot at it.
And you almost wonder why that somebody wasn't the Florida Panthers last year.
Yeah, it's tough. You hated to see John Hines have to sort of sit and wait. He was still under contract. He didn't for certain know that he wasn't coming back. And that was kind of what happened to Andrew Brunette last year. He was an interim coach. He was nominated for the Jack Adams Trophy for Coach of the Year. Did an outstanding job for Florida. They won the President's Trophy, and yet they did not retain him. And they made him sit for even longer. Like he went, I think, well into the summer before they decided to go a different direction and go with Paul Maurice. So he's been through that. But, yeah, that's an interesting combination of circumstances there.
Brunette obviously has a deep history with this franchise, but obviously it's been a while. So how does his style match up with the roster that's been put together to this point?
Andrew Brunette, I think, is a guy that has a very different background than his predecessors. Peter Laviolette and John Hines were not great players in the NHL, and neither was Barry Trotz for that. So this is probably easily the best former player that's ever been a Nashville Predator coach, right? He played over 1,000 games in the league. He wasn't a star player, but he if you take a look at his stats, you would love to have his stats. Like he had some very, very productive years. He was a good role player some years. Some years he was more of the main guy. Played for a lot of different teams. And I think those experiences have served him well. Another thing that I think is unique about Andrew Burnett is he's not only been a coach since he stopped playing, he's been a scout, he's been an assistant general manager, and he's been an assistant coach. So he's seen the game from a lot of different perspectives, which I think gives him, the tools to succeed. Because as you guys pointed out, the key is going to be how you fit with the hand that you're dealt. And so can he get more out of the veteran players because maybe he's got a little more player perspective, former player perspective? Can he get more mileage out of Philip Forsberg and Matt Duchene, for example? And can he continue to grow the young players as well? That's the goal.
Willie DAUNIC, the Valley voice of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Willie, you talk about what he can do with the talent that he's got at his disposal. The fact that he has a relationship with Trotz, having played for him, with Paul, how much does that help in the transition as he comes in here?
I think that's a big part of why he was hired. Is I think there's a strong bond between Barry Trotz and David Poile, along with Andrew Burnett. David Poile drafted Andrew Burnett when he was 18 years old. He was a seventh-round draft pick, was not considered a high-end prospect. Barry Trotz was a young coach in the AHL in the Portland Pirates. And when you say Portland, I'm thinking the Trailblazers and Oregon and stuff like that. This is Portland, Maine that we're talking about back in the day. Kenny Albert, the great voice of hockey, NFL, Major League Baseball, what does he not do, right? Kenny Albert was a young play-by-play announcer who was Barry Trotz's roommate in those days back in the early to mid-'90s. So it was very interesting. This is how far back Andrew Burnett goes with these guys. Wow. And so they formed a pretty special bond there. And Andrew Burnett says, look, I don't know if I would have made it to the NHL had Barry Trotz not sort of shaped me the way that he did. So I think there's a good trust between the two of them. They've both been a million places since then, but I think they have a foundation relationship that they think will be, something strong going forward.
I think that's an interesting concept in that, one, they do understand each other, but two, they've gotten a little bit from everywhere else that they've been, and the two of them together, certainly you feel like you have a well-rounded front office and coaching staff at this point. Willie, have you heard from or talked to John Hynes? How does he feel about this situation?
Well, I have not talked to him. I have a lot of respect for Coach Hynes. And one thing that I noted right away is immediately with the Rangers job open, how crazy is this for Predator fans? The two guys who appear to be the finalists for the New York Rangers job are John Hynes and Peter Laviolette, the two previous Predators head coaches. So that is quite crazy. Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet, who follows it probably as well as anybody, I would put him with the Adam Schefters, the Buster Olneys, the guys who are right at the forefront of the breaking news. He doesn't know of any other candidates right now for the Rangers. So it could be one or the other. So I'm glad for John Hynes that he's back in there and still has time to maybe find a landing spot. He's under contract with the Predators for another year regardless. So I feel like there will be good things for John Hynes in the future. I think he's a good coach, and I really do hope that he lands somewhere.
Willie, when you look at this team as it's made up of today, is this – and, of course, with the Admirals who lost last night, by the way, they fall short of the Calder Cup. But the young folks coming in, the core group that we have, do you feel like next year's opening day roster will look more like the end of the year this year, or will it be something more like what we saw to start last year?
I think those are the key questions, is how many how aggressive will the Predators be in the trade market, the free agent market?
The 37 draft picks they have?
Yeah, they've got a lot of them. They got 13 draft picks. I would say, and it's not that you would necessarily have to use all of them. Of course, using a draft pick this year probably doesn't affect your team next year. These kids are so young. It's like drafting a kid out of high school for the Major League Baseball draft. You just rarely see anybody make, that quick of a jump unless it's a top pick. So they like what they have coming through the farm system for the next several years. I don't think you'll see them be very busy in free agency. It's not right now a super attractive free agency class, but you do have a lot of very good players that are with a team, and for one reason or another, either the team doesn't have a lot of salary cap space available, they've got other players they want to sign, and so they might have the ability to go grab somebody for a very cheap price. We saw a trade earlier today, a three-way trade between the Blue Jackets, the Kings, and the Flyers, and money was at the center of it. The cap issues for all three teams were at the middle of it. So you're going to see some changes that way. So I don't know how aggressive Barry Trotz will be. I think he's got options. We know that with all of those young players that you just mentioned, got to run with Milwaukee. They did a nice job in the playoffs. They won a couple of rounds. They played some more meaningful games. And I do think they've got the ability to bring a lot of those guys back, but they also have the flexibility to add a veteran or two if they need to.
It's funny, Willie, that you mentioned NHL draftees getting to the NHL in their first professional season, because it was on this day, and this isn't this day in Braves history, but on June 6, 1978, and you'll appreciate this, the Braves picked Bob Horner out of Arizona State, and he debuted immediately in Atlanta. So, like you said, it's pretty rare across most sports, particularly so in the NHL, but I just thought it was funny because I just seen that when I was doing a little show prep earlier.
Well, I remember that well, Mo, and that was pretty cool because you just never heard Will Clark. There's a few guys, and that, remember, as a kid coming right out of college and not out of high school. And the first round picks for the NHL are like high school senior age, 17 turning 18 in most cases. So we know that Connor Bedard, the first pick in the draft, he's going to go right in to the NHL. The Connor McDavids, there's always maybe 3 or 4 at the very top of the draft some years that dive right in, but most of them are much more apt to be at least 2 or 3 year projects before they're ready. So I don't know how old Bob Horner was in 78. He might have been, what do you think he was, 21 maybe?
20, yeah, probably 2021, yeah. But those were pretty desperate times for the Braves too, so,
But that was a good move by the Braves, I would say.
Worked out.
NHL draft, June 28th at Bridgestone. I guess you'll be on hand for that, huh?
I will. We're going to do a lot of coverage on 102.5 The Game as the flagship, so we should have and hopefully we'll be pretty busy. They got all these picks, and so I think we'll be curious to see if they package any of the picks with any other assets to try to move up. They pick in the middle of the pack. It's higher than they picked in some years because they didn't make the playoffs. So they've got 2 first-round picks, a couple of second-round picks. So there's a lot of different things they might do. And it is considered to be a very strong draft, a deep draft, where you can get really, really good players, more so than some other years. And I'm just going by what the experts are saying. It's not like I research these things. I don't know what's going on. Here's the thing. Not only do you have to know what's going on in the States and maybe even Canada, but you've got to know what's happening all over the world, right? You got the Finnish players, the Swedish players, the Russians, on down the line. So the scouting for these 18-year-olds, it truly is a crapshoot.
According to Tankathon.com, Nashville picks number 15 with their own pick, and then number 24 with a pick that they acquired from Edmonton. So
yep, that was the Ekholm trade where they got that pick.
There you go. Okay.
15 and 24 is not it's not the greatest picks, but you'll take 2 first-rounders anytime you can.
You'll
get
take
them.
2 first-rounders, but 15 and 24 isn't exactly sexy, I don't think. So.
It's all good. Look, as far as, like you said, as far as prospects in the NHL go, I barely know who's on the team right now after all of the trades from last year. So I'm just going to be worried about who's going to be wearing the gold next year. That's all I'm real worried about. But
well, it's interesting along those lines with the Milwaukee run. The kid that they drafted last year, I think they picked 17th, if I remember last year. This kid, Joakim Kemmel, he came over from Finland late in the season when everybody got called up to the Predators from Milwaukee and Milwaukee had nobody left. They were able to bring Kemmel over at 18 years old, and he did really, really well. I mean, he was scoring tons of goals in the regular season and then on into the playoffs. Very encouraging. He is a shooter. So he might be a little bit more on the fast track. I don't know if I would say he's going to end up being a franchise player, but for sort of a mid-level first-round pick, he looks like he's got a lot of upside, especially in the area that you need, and that's a guy that can just rip it. He's an elite shooter. They like his makeup. They didn't even – you take the jersey and you put the name on the back and you put up the, Patton, 2023, first round. They did not bring a jersey that had Kimmel's name on it because they were sure he was going to be gone by the 17th pick. And they just had to put up a blank jersey when they picked him up because they were so surprised that he was there. So they were really glad to pick him up. And that looks like it's going to be a pick that's got a lot of potential.
Wow, the Predators and a Finnish player would have never guessed. Never.
Who knew?
Who knew that would work out? So, Willie, I appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about Andrew and the state of the Preds. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to the draft later this month. It's going to be a lot of fun down in Nashville. So, thanks again, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
It's interesting. I still don't know I don't know what style of play that Andrew Burnett typically, likes to play, but
go look at some Florida Panthers.
Yeah, because I wonder if he, just kind of did what they were good at doing, or if he implemented his system.
And the thing is, as an interim coach, you almost have to do that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I think that's a good sign because I think
take what your talent gives you
and figure out how best to make your talent better at what they do. I mean, you talk about coaches and systems and that kind of thing, but
and that's one reason I think John Hines struggled at times, because we've talked about it on this show. His style of coaching didn't match the personnel that was given to him by David Poyle.
Right, and I think it's easier for a coach to adapt to a team's style and talent than it is for a team to adapt to a coach's system.
Yeah, absolutely. One person versus 20.
Right, yeah. Seems simple. And yet.
We'll take a break here and come back with a little baseball talk on the other side of the break. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, returns to the Lee Company studio right after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Vroom, vroom, time for the Rackley Roofing 200, and it is going to be June 23rd out at the Nashville Super Speedway. And we partnered up all of us here at Main Street Media TV, and we have joined with Rackley Roofing to send you. Yep, what you got to do to win? All you got to do is go to your favorite Main Street Media website, look for the Enter to Win banner, click there, and you're in. Like Flynn. Isn't that cool? Main Street Media TV and Rackley Roofing sending you to the races.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park, each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Music City will be rocking June 23rd through the 25th with a different sound. The sound of NASCAR. The Ally 400 is back at Nashville Superspeedway, and this year, it's a night race. NASCAR in Nashville. It's guitars and fast cars under the lights.
June 6, 1940, 19-year-old Warren Spahn signed a contract with the Boston Bees. Because of his military service, Spahn did not register his first major league win until the 1946 season, but won 10 or more games each of the next 17 years en route to becoming the winningest left-hander in Major League Baseball history with 363 victories, 356 of which came with the Bees or Braves. That was this day in Braves history.
Warren Spahn.
Spahn insane. And pray for rain.
Dude, Warren Spahn, one of the GOATs. Seriously.
I mean, 363 victories.
Wins don't matter, Mo. Haven't you heard? Pitcher wins are a useless stat. Of course, nowadays I can understand that, because you go 5-6 innings. But back then, if you were the winning pitcher, you pitched all 9 innings more times than not. Yeah. So it's a little different.
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I'm going to try to pull up something real quick that speaks to that.
Oh, we've got – I wish we had some analytics with Mo.
No. 382 complete games.
Yeah, see? And how many wins? 300 and what?
363.
Dang, he lost, 23 games that he pitched?
19.
He was only the losing pitcher in 19?
Yeah, so.
Well, there you go. That's pretty good.
You start what you finish, baby. Yeah.
Back then, you certainly did. And then you did it 4 days later.
Yeah, I mean, back then, being in the bullpen meant you weren't very good.
Yeah. It's a different world nowadays, huh? Yeah. It's a different world for the Atlanta Braves right now because they have some new guys coming up. And, honestly, this 3-game set with the Mets that are 6.5 games back, by the way, just throwing that out there again. Seems
I didn't
pretty
want to go
big.
in. I didn't want to go in on Willie.
No,
Willie's a good dude.
no,
so,
no.
But yeah.
But the Braves have done a little work today. Obviously, we talked about Rodri Munoz. Was recalled, and I'm a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas Luque has been outrighted to AAA Gwinnett. I didn't think he was on the team.
No, he was designated for assignment
and didn't get picked up.
Right.
Okay. There you go.
DFA'd,
Yeah.
as they say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that. Sorry, Lucas, you got to go.
You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, you're going to have to go at least a few miles away.
Go to the other side of town.
Michael Tonkin will begin a rehab assignment. Sorry, he doesn't start with the Stripers. But the Braves acquired a pitcher today from the Tampa Bay Rays, Ben Heller. And at first I was like, whatever. But you start looking at Ben Heller.
Well, here's the thing. The first thing you need to know about Ben Heller is he's coming from the Rays organization.
Which typically they don't let their pitchers go if they're any good.
But the fact that he was in the Rays organization kind of tells you that there's something there.
Right. His career stats in Major League Baseball: 31 games, 31.1 innings pitched, 2.59 ERA. Now his WHIP's not great, 1.34. It's not ideal, but a solid ERA and a guy that can be helpful if necessary. In a place where they
necessary,
really need, well, in a place that the Braves absolutely need help right now.
It's just a matter of time. Yeah. And it's funny, scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
Could be worse for the Braves. Could be worse for Braves pitchers. You could be Alek Manoah. 2022 American League All-Star Alek Manoah, who went 16-7 for the Blue Jays, just got sent down today.
Yeah, did you see his start the other night?
Last night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he got blown up.
He tried to blow a ball out of out of play.
Well, understandably.
Yeah, he's like anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't his night.
It's not been his season. He's 1-7. In his last 5 games, he's not gone more than 5 2/3. Again, last night he went a third of an inning, gave up 6 earned runs on 7 hits. So yeah, he's getting a chance to go down to the Florida Complex League and work some things out.
Jeez. He didn't get sent down.
He got sent all
down.
The way down. Well, that's what I saw.
Who did he yell at last night? Because he yelled at somebody.
He yelled at everybody, I imagine. But I saw this tweet. Said, my God, they really sent Manoah down.
In an earlier round. He's going down swinging. Or Baby Yo Street in a Range Rover, one of the two. One of those downs. It's really up to you, whichever way you would like to go. Yeah, and we've not dealt with anything like that because typically everything that we've dealt with in Atlanta has been mostly injury
related.
Now Luke Gay, a little different.
Well, he was hurting me.
There's no question there. But yeah, that being said, the Braves, 3 or 4 years ago, when Alex Anthopoulos started drafting, all he did was draft arms. And all we did was gripe about it.
Why can't he pick some bats? Well,
and now. And then the one bat he did pick, he traded. Langoliers.
well, not just that one, but the kid that they traded to Detroit.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Georgia Tech
that's right,
kid,
the Georgia Tech kid.
and the Vanderbilt kid. that they traded to Detroit for Joe Jimenez. Yeah.
But here's why, and this makes a lot of sense. If you can get your position players and your bats from the international pool, I can understand.
Yeah.
I can understand. So it's certainly worked out for Atlanta, and I'm going to, in AA we trust.
In AA we trust until further notice. Yeah.
And so the Braves tonight go to the bump with Bryce Elder. He'll face off against Carlos Carrasco. Carrasco's not been good. Bryce Elder's been the best in the league, which means the Braves are going to lose.
Stop it.
The over-under tonight is 9.5 runs. Take the under. That's all I'm going to tell you. Take the under.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this one has the feel of a 5-2 type game, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, and it's at home. Atlanta finally has a winning record at home, but it took a long time to get there.
Well, and they finally scored some runs. I mean, of course, it took a grand slam in the 8th to get there, or in the 9th. To get there. But scored some runs.
It's June. And over the last few years, historically speaking, June has been very kind to the Atlanta Braves.
Starting to get warm.
So balls are starting to fly a little bit. Because when it gets warmer, that's when the balls really start. And those humid days, that's when you see the balls start flying out of the ballpark. This team's built to hit home runs. It's about time for Atlanta to really ramp it up. So if that's the case,
I would not have a problem with them doing so.
Well, at 35-24, best team in the National League by most accounts, even power rankings and everything else. You've got a lot of games that you feel like you should win over the next month, especially at home.
Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy, Rosario, Albies, Ozuna, Arcia, and Harris for tonight's 6:20 start.
6:20, yes.
6:20 our time.
13 minutes after the other game we talked about. That's at 6:07. The Astros.
Yeah. I challenged some folks' math a little bit there. Yeah.
But
do the math.
Whatever math that is. New York at home, Washington at home. Then you got to go to Detroit. Good luck, I guess. Colorado's at home for 4. Then you go to Philly and Cincinnati, who, by the way, called up Ellie De La Cruz today. They're all excited.
They call me Big Ellie.
Yeah, that's a big one. Then you got Minnesota at home to close out the month.
Sonny Gray.
So I this is Atlanta's month. This could be the time where they put some real distance between them and, by the way, second place Miami Marlins. Last year we talked about Miami was the team that scared us, and it ended up being Philadelphia that was kind of the surprise team. Miami ended up finishing fourth ahead of Washington. This year, Miami certainly found something.
They found something, and it's not Sandy Alcantara.
Right. It's almost like Joker scoring 40. I mean,
yeah. Well,
so
and this untrained eye can't tell you what the difference is with Miami because, like I said, it's not Alcantara. He's not having a Cy Young-ish season this time around.
No, he's not. And sometimes that does happen. Before we get out of here, Mo, the Oakland Athletics still don't have a home.
Man without a country, huh?
Man without a country, no doubt. Nevada's state legislature adjourns without a vote. And so who knows? Because seriously, I mean, Oakland doesn't have to do anything at this point.
No. And why would they? You mean the city of Oakland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, you ain't got to go, well, not home, but you can't stay here. I mean, you told us you were leaving. We didn't tell you to leave. You said you were gone, so.
You figure out where you're going. It's not my job to put you up until then.
Yeah, what's that meme from Tombstone that I've still not watched? Well,
bye.
Hate it for you.
It's interesting. I saw a list. I think it was a Chat GPT thing, so take that as you will. But Charlotte was listed ahead of Nashville as a potential expansion city. I mean, I guess Las Vegas could just play in their AAA park until further notice.
Las Vegas could play in Las Vegas's AAA park?
The Athletics could play in Las Vegas's AAA park.
And what about Las Vegas?
They got to go. I mean, do they not?
Yeah, they got to go. Well, but I don't know.
You guys get to play at UNLV. Congratulations. I don't know.
I don't know.
And here's the thing: AAA has made this huge investment in Las Vegas, being their championship city, and now you're going to do this to the Las Vegas team? It's brutal.
I don't know. There's a lot of brutality here.
The whole thing is just terrible.
I mean, one, how do you announce you're moving someplace?
And you don't have nowhere to go.
Nowhere. I mean, it's not like you can pitch a tent.
It's not very intelligent on someone's part.
On a lot of someone's.
Oh man, we got to take a break because Chip's standing by. We got a lot to get to with him, so we're going to talk to Chip Walters of the Blue Raider Network right here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Right after this, stick around. Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Welcome back to Today's Better Health. I'm Colleen Barton, and I'm here with Dr. Gil Kentoff and Dr. Wendy Toohey, and we're talking about the latest treatments in back and neck pain.
Many people, Colleen, come to see us with neck and back pain, and they develop tingling and numbness down the arm or lower back pain that develops into sciatica shooting down their leg. And for these patients, we have an advanced treatment technology, non-surgical decompression therapy that we really introduced to this area. It separates the vertebrae and creates a suction to allow fluids and nutrients back in to heal the disc naturally, relieving pressure on the nerve and on the joint. It's an amazing treatment.
We've been helping patients like this for the last 30 years, helping them get back to work, get back to their family, get back to the life they want to live.
I mean, it really is amazing. Technology helping us to live pain-free and better lives. Right. And I bet you have a special offer.
The first 25 callers will receive an examination, x-rays, review of our findings, and their first treatment, all for $39.
Call 615-551-3897 today to receive this special offer.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here with you on this Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 sports TV talk show hosts.
This is going to be a pain. For me anyway, because I don't watch a lot of that.
Well, I don't either, but I have some people in mind that, you know, there's probably 5 or 6 that come to mind off the top. So that's still coming your way here in just a few moments. But first, we talk Middle Tennessee State University with Chip Walters. Chip, what's up, man?
How about top 5 channel turners of those morning talking head shows? I could come up with that list quicker.
Real quick, yeah. Hey, Chip, before we get too deep into what's going on the yard, I want to start on a somber note, obviously, because not long after we got off the air last Tuesday, you called me and made me aware that a guy that was on campus at the same time that we were, Matt Riley, had passed away at the age of 58. And it wasn't after we got off the air. It was on Thursday. My bad.
Right.
But former strength and conditioning coach in the athletic department, associate AD of strength and conditioning, and later worked in the varsity club and in the Blue Raiders Hall of Fame.
Also, the father-in-law to Noah McKay.
Yeah, of Upper Cumberland Reporter.
That's correct.
Yeah. Obviously, I've been seeing, responses across social media from various Lady Raiders in particular that he had worked with, and just a devastating loss.
And the response, the response from former players and on the women's basketball side, because he had kind of transitioned over and was traveling with women's basketball and Coach Insel, and but the amount of responses on social media from former football players and guys he played with, guys that he worked with as the strength coach over the years. Rick Stockstill, he always pounds the thought and the idea that the staff that has more influence over a student athlete than the strength coach, because they have their hands on those kids, head coach for sure, and even position coach in football. And and the thing I mean, there's all kinds of stories about Matt, and he learned when he played. George Camp was the trainer. Matt was a diabetic. He had type 1 diabetes, and that's hard for an athlete to play through that with trying to keep your your blood sugar levels correct and all that. And this was back in the 80s when, and playing for Coach Donnelly, which was no walk in the park to start with, that George Camp, the trainer, had a little igloo cooler out there and kept a couple of Coca-Colas on ice just in case Matt would happen to have his blood sugar would go down and he'd need to take a break, and all his buddies would give him a hard time about, well, heck, Matt, we're drinking water and there you are drinking Cokes. So that kind of lived on for a long time. And he learned the strength trade from maybe, the best there ever was in Doc Crease, and really took a love for it. Not only did he learn the strength game, he learned how to love on kids. And that's what Doc did the best. And, he learned that and went to Tennessee Tech for a couple of years to be their strength coach, went to Southern Miss for a couple of years, and then came back to Middle and was back there pretty much almost 30 years in one form or another. But one thing I've noticed in most all the social media posts, in particular the football players, is he had a nickname for everybody. And they all can remember, well, I remember when Matt called me whatever it was. To me, Matt was biggin, and I was biggin to Matt, and that's how we communicated with each other. And so we even had nicknames of our own. But he touched so many. This Friday from 4 to 7 at the Murphy Center, there's going to be a memorial gathering. There's not going to be a real program, but just an opportunity to get together, share stories, see the family. Regina and the kids will be there. So, and just remember one of the all-time really good guys that ever graced the hallways of Murphy Center and Floyd Stadium.
Thank you, because I knew that you could speak to that, and I knew that we needed to speak to that, and to see more of the tributes to Matt Riley. You can go to Go Blue Raiders, because your former color analyst, Wes Counts, I didn't know that he could string this many words together.
Wow, it was unbelievable, though, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
He had them all built up because Chip would never let him talk.
Wow.
Just kidding, Chip. Just kidding.
I'll leave that between y'all. But, yeah.
Now, his tribute that he wrote on GoBlueRaiders.com, it's all the former players I thought were real. I mean, everybody was good, but Wes's was the last one, and you go read it, and man, he got right down to the low gravy in that one, and just summed it all up, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, he did a great job with that. On a happier note, and we've had this in our pocket for a minute and never have really spoken to it with you. The interim tag was taken off Jerry Myers.
That's correct. Yeah, really happy about that. Yeah, it happened. That was what happened about 2 hours after we got off the air the other day. Yeah. If that long. But Jerry Myers. They made a great run in the tournament, but when you look behind the wins and losses and these days there's a lot of talk about the culture that's being set, that kind of thing. What he's done, really, getting things on a good track, putting together an incredible staff, when the only thing he had promised to him last year was that he was going to be the interim coach for this spring, but he was still able to get hitting coaches around, and a former 18-year head coach at Erskine. You had Jason Steen, who was one of the best baseball players in the history of the Ohio Valley Conference, and at Eastern Kentucky, then became head coach at Eastern, and then his most previous job had been at Duke as the associate head coach. So you get two former Division I head coaches on your staff, and your head coach is a guy who has made some trips to Hall. So, for those guys to put their faith in Jerry and come here with no real promises, said a lot about Jerry to start with, and then to see how the kids responded, and in particular a very young pitching staff that sometimes took their lumps, but other times showed great promise. I was really excited to see that, and can't wait to see, because I called Kevin Nichols, I'm pretty close with him, and to congratulate him, he goes, that's right, man. So we'll talk about it. He goes, man, I'm on the phone right now. I'm knee deep in the transfer portal. So they did not waste any time in getting to that. But, it's been almost universally received well that Jerry's going to be the permanent head coach for a while.
Voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, joining us on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chip, it's interesting that you mentioned the transfer portal because it's not just baseball that's knee-deep in it. Rick Insell has been in it as well. And
yep.
As recently as today.
Yeah, and has pulled out a Conference USA transfer, following on the heels of getting Savannah Wheeler from Marshall.
That turned out okay.
That was pretty good. That was good.
Yeah.
And so you're hoping that former Florida International guard Sifa Joyeuse.
I'm not sure yet, but she's coming, and she was an all freshman selection in Conference USA this year. She has 3 years of eligibility remaining. She is a native of Rwanda, and brings an international game to middle, and that international part of the roster is continuing to grow, and from what I hear along from the smoke signals are that may not be the end of it. So again, stay tuned.
Yeah. Played in 28 games at FIU, 18 starts, which was second on the team, 44 threes, which was 8th in Conference USA, shot 36% from behind the arc, and averaged 8.7 points over 17.7 minutes. So obviously a nice little addition. According to Rick, she has great scoring ability, being able to score out on the floor from the three and able to slash off the bounce, scoring at the rim.
And she's going to get a lot of experience this summer. She's a member of the Rwanda national team, and they'll be playing for the African Cup last of July, first part of August. So she'll be going against some terrific competition in that. So that will only make her better before she shows back up on campus and they start their individual work there. But I saw Coach Insell yesterday and had
on his
gotten tipped
birthday.
off. That's why I stopped by. They were having team camp, so wanted to wish him happy birthday and had to drop something off for Matt. But their team camp, they've got 2 sessions of team camp, and there are, between the 2 sessions of team camp, they have 150 schools participating. I say schools because each school averages about 2 teams per school. They'll bring an A team, a B team, and sometimes a JV team, and to get games in. And so, I mean, they're using the Murphy Center main floor, auxiliary gyms A and B, alumni gym, and 5 floors over in the rec center on campus. So they're using a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 9 floors for each session of camp.
That's a lot of kids.
And I know yesterday I didn't get to see them play. I saw Columbia walking down the hall, CPA, Livingston Academy. So Coach said it's the biggest women's basketball team camp in the South.
Yeah,
so
I got an update from Columbia Central Director of Athletic Transportation, Bill Draper, earlier today. He was hanging out over in AMG. So yeah, the Lady Lions are are over there this week. Chip, what else do we need to know? What else is going on?
A couple of things. Oliver Akintola, absolutely. He is coming up. He will be at the NCAA Outdoor Championships coming up starting the 7th through the 10th in Austin, Texas. He will be in the 100 and 200. It starts tomorrow night. The outdoor meet will kick off Wednesday at 7. With Akintola running in the 100 and 200 meters shortly after 45 Central Time. And if you have ESPN Plus, they'll have that's Central Time. It's not that late. What time do you go to bed, Chris? Come on.
My kid goes to sleep at 8:30, and I'm in bed pretty soon after.
Yeah, but they, one thing they're doing, they're letting the sun get down and letting it cool off a little bit out in Austin.
That's important.
Yeah, it is. And the whole thing, the live stream is on ESPN Plus, so that would be a good opportunity there. He he placed 4th in the men's 200 meter quarterfinals with a personal best of 20.03 seconds to go 200 meters, which is carrying the mail right there. And 100 meters at 10.08, which is picking them up and putting them down.
Yeah, that's not bad. We'll try to keep an eye on that, and hopefully that will go well for Mr. Akintola.
A couple of other quick notes, if I can. Jackson Galloway of the baseball team is one of 10 spring student athletes across Conference USA to garner the Conference USA Spring Spirit of Service Award, which is a pretty high honor. They do that 3 times a year, and each school has a winner. And Jackson Galloway does it because he is on the honor roll, Special Olympics National Baseball Championships for 3 years, Read Across America, also works youth baseball camps as a volunteer, has a 3.5 GPA, Dean's List honoree, and plans to graduate in December with a degree in integrated studies and communications. So congratulations to him. And also a reminder that Middle and Alabama football tickets are on sale if you in the MTSU section. BRAA members have priority, but you can get yourself on the list by contacting the MTSU ticket office if you'd like to be in that section.
There you go. Chip Walters joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chip, thanks again for, as always. Look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. See you, boys. Thank you much.
Thank you, Chip.
All right. It is Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Dallas Steele and the fine folks at Mid-South 5 Fitness will keep you in shape all the time. Check out steelathletes.com. That's STEEL athletes.com. Or at Steel Athletes on Instagram. All right. Since we certainly don't have a poll from 2 weeks ago.
We're just going to flip a coin.
We're just going to, I used to have a coin, but I don't today.
Coins are overrated.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I will go third because I probably have the most comprehensive list. Justin may have the most comprehensive list, so we'll let Mo go first because he thinks it's going to be the toughest. So you get to go with the first name off the list.
First name off the list, and I'm drawing a blank. I mean, I had 2 or 3 guys that I wanted to go with, and like I said, I've just now when you say sports talk shows, like studio
shows are fine. I've got some studio guys,
Okay.
It don't have to be debate shows.
Okay, good.
I mean, even Jim Rome could be.
No.
I'm saying his show would be available in this.
Would Ernie Johnson Jr. of Inside the NBA
Ernie
count?
Johnson is absolutely on the list.
Well, he is on my list.
All right, Justin?
I'm going to go Pat McAfee.
Of course you are. Nobody's surprised by that. Nobody. Well, if y'all are going to leave him out there for the first round, Stephen A. Smith. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
It's true. Controversial, but true.
I'm going to go with Chris Fowler from College Game Day.
Chris Fowler is not on College Game Day. You mean Reese?
Yeah, Reese Davis. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. No, Chris Fowler is not on College Game Day. Good catch. Yeah, Reese Davis.
I knew what you meant. They're, honestly, they look so similar to me. I used to think they were the same person, like when I was younger.
Yeah.
They really do. Like, they are very similar people. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. So, Justin, number 2.
My number 2 is, just because I love watching him, just never know what he's going to say, Terry Bradshaw.
Terry is definitely a wild card. There's no question there. All right, well, then I am going to go with Tony Kornheiser.
Okay.
Number 3.
I'm going to go with Scott Van Pelt.
Fantastic.
Oh, SVP. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to go.
Number 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go Shaq.
From inside the NBA as well. See, I had Kenny Smith on my list, but y'all already took like all the other. I'm like, God, I feel like I'm copy and paste, but Kenny Smith is the number 1 name on my list, so I'm going to go Kenny Smith here.
Good value if he's the number 1 name on your list.
Exactly.
Let's see. I'm going to go Feinbaum.
That's a fantastic. Even though Feinbaum doesn't do anything but referee, he does a really good job.
He does a really good job of refereeing.
He does. He does. Justin?
I'm going to go Michael Wilbon.
It's a great pick.
I like him.
Great pick. My number 4 is going to be from the best damn sports show period, Tom Arnold. That was a great show. I don't care what y'all said. That was a great show because they did not give a crap. They were like, listen, ESPN can do what they're going to do. By gosh, we're going to be the weirdos and we're going to just –
and you're going to watch.
And you're going to watch because this is the best damn sports show period.
Ever. Yeah, period.
And it had a great nickname. We just called it Best Damn all the time, right?
All the time. I'm going to go I don't watch the show, but I see a lot of stuff on social media, obviously. And now this was prompted by Shannon Sharp leaving.
It was.
So is Shannon Sharp available?
I mean, technically.
Oh, I was going to say him next.
Sharp it is. Number 5, Justin.
Number 5 for me is going to be the late, great John Clayton.
It's a good one.
My number 5, this is, man, I've got so many great names still left on my list, but I got to go with Poppy, Gonzalo Lebitard. That dude is fan-freaking-tastic. I don't care.
Not Dan.
No.
Poppy.
Poppy. He's so funny. Anytime he talks, it's just hilarious. So, also on my list, I had Bryant Gumbel, James Brown, Kirk Herbstreit, Max Kellerman.
I had Roy Firestone.
Oh.
Jalen Rose for me.
Jalen Rose, okay. Sir Charles is a good. Hey, look, if you like, not many votes for Romo.
No votes for Romo.
No, but and Charles again, same reason that we talked about Charles before. He has no filter. He's fun to listen to.
He's gonna, if it comes up, it comes out with Charles.
So there you go. That's Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, again, at stillathletes.com, STEEL athletes, at stillathletes on Instagram. Come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We've got 2 fantastic guests with you, as we always have. Heather Williams, she'll talk a little NASCAR, and we'll have women's college softball, sometimes analyst, I don't know what else you want to call her, Jen Schroeder, former UCLA player. She'll preview Florida State and Oklahoma Women's College World Series. So all of that coming your way tomorrow and much more. So come back at 2 o'clock on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. See you then.